Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. Lots of fun. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. You can also find us on all the social media sites. Okay, I know everybody's saying, shut up, Donna. What is it with cuteness overload going on there? I've got Doug McGee with me, and he's with Second Chance Animal Shelter. What in this world, Doug? What are you trying to do to me?
3 strays from Etowah County. This is the kind of, these are strays that people call and said that some dog had shown up at their house. And this is what we got. These are the puppies. And the mama is running around and shit for a while. She's real protective of them. But here they are.
Getting used to you. She's getting
you
used
know,
to you.
It's the best job in the world.
Yeah, you do. They are so cuddly and so sweet and so, oh my goodness. Now, what are you going to do in the meantime? Because they're little puppies. But how old do you think they are?
We think they're about 3 weeks old, and the mama's going to stay with them. What we'll probably do is find a rescue group that'll take them and put them in foster care and let the mama, we'll keep them here with the mama at least till they're maybe 6 or 7 weeks old, and then we'll kind of go from there. But this happens on a regular basis. It's not uncommon, but they are so, I'm getting intoxicated by the puppy breath right now. I mean, I'm just like, oh, you know.
I think they're intoxicated with you. I mean, they're loving you.
Yeah, they seem very comfortable with me. Of course, you know, they're just, you can't beat this. And then, like I said, Mama was a little concerned, but since she's got to know what she's allowed us to hold her puppies and all. The first day, she'd try to bite you when you get close to them. But she kind of, they're trying to nurse off my hand. They must be hungry.
They want their mama. So I'm just having a hard time believing that somebody would be so horrible as to let these little puppies go and just dump them out somewhere.
You
That's
know,
unreal.
I don't understand that mentality of person. I would say 90% of the world would not be able to do it, but there's always that 10% who you think, how can they be so inhumane to just toss them out? But it happens. It happens regularly, and that's why we're here to try to get them. You know, we'll get them into a foster situation, get them weaned, and then they'll be adopted. I think I got some fat folds on my neck, and that one thinks it's supposed to be a nipple or something. It's kind of sucking on my neck. You gotta love them. I mean, you know, this is one of their cutest, and I do understand why people want puppies rather than dogs, because this is when they just. This is like
yeah,
babies.
But you know something? I wouldn't take anything for that 80-pound big dog we've got outside. I mean, Buddy is our family. I mean, he really is.
Well,
it's fun though. A lot of people though will get these cute little things, not realizing they're going to grow up. They're not going to stay puppies forever. Right. But it's so important to let them grow with your family.
Right. Now, the good thing about these is they are going to remain small. We think that they have, you know, we're not sure, but we're pretty sure they're going to be small dogs. So people will keep these. What really bothers you when you get one like this and then it turns into a 50, 60, 70-pound dog and they realize they can't handle that. So then they return them, and that's when they're not adoptable anymore. Right now, everybody would want these. I mean, anybody wants, you can't help but want these. But when they get some age on them, they're dogs, and people tend to, you know, they don't want them as much. We've got a shelter full of adult versions of this, except bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what are the chances are that whoever wants these pups to take home and be part of their family would want the mama to come too?
There's a possibility. It really depends on their living situation. Some people just left here that live in an RV. They could probably only take one, you know, but other people who live in a bigger house might say, hey, I'll take them on, raise them on, and keep them together. Now, that would be a wonderful situation. Main thing, of course, when they get old enough, we got to get them fixed so that this is the last generation of these these little cute ones. They're so warm.
Yeah, I'd like to have one with me right now. It's just so sweet.
Yeah. And like I said, the one's trying to nurse off my thumb. The other one's been trying to nurse on my fat fold in my neck. I mean, they're just, you can't help it. You can't help but love them when they're like this, just like
They're
a newborn child.
sweet babies.
And it
So,
smells so good.
now you mentioned foster parents. So, and I know this is something that you guys can handle, but how do you get started being a foster parent for a puppy or for a dog?
Well, the first thing is contact us. So, and it just calls, hey, I'm interested in fostering. If you'll just make the phone call to the shelter or come by the shelter and let us know that, then we can kind of guide you from there. If not us, there are groups called, there's a lot of foster-based groups out there. So call any animal shelter, and it may be a foster-based group. New Leash on Life is one that's based in Huntsville. They don't even actually have a shelter. They're all foster-based. We want to go foster-based. I'd much rather have a bunch of fosters taking care of the dogs at houses versus keeping them here. And we need fosters. And there's so many kinds of fosters. You got puppy fosters, which everybody want to do that. You keep and family fosters like a mama and puppies. We've got hospice fosters. Mm-hmm. That's sad. That says itself what it is. You know, we get dogs here that are terminally ill, cancer, or just so old that they're just about near death. We need hospice fosters for them. Basically, take them to your house, make them feel loved and happy and warm and fed until they pass away. And sometimes it's a month. Sometimes it may be days. You really don't know, but we need them desperately because we've got 2 or 3 right now that are, we know they're not going to live long, but they need a place to go. Dying at a shelter is kind of sad. We had one of our dogs here. We'd had her here for 13 years. Angel, she was actually an office dog, so we wouldn't have adopted her out. She died on the 28th of December. She just went, that was her time. And, but now she was an office dog, so this was her home. We don't feel as bad about that as one dying out in a kennel, just because we couldn't get it to a home, and that does happen every now and then. So yeah, we need hospice fosters. We need weekend fosters. A lot of these dogs just like to have a weekend away. Give them a break. Come up here, pick up a dog on Friday, bring it back on Sunday afternoon, and give the dog a chance to get away from the shelter. We need recovery fosters. Dog comes in, it's got a broken leg when it got ran over. In fact, we've got one of those that came from Altoona, Alabama the other night. It's at the vet now, but I think when we do get it, we don't need it somewhere to recover. You don't want to recover in a shelter because we can give them attention, but there may be some therapy things that you can do if he's on a one-to-one basis. So if you want to foster, contact the shelter. If you think I'd like to bring a dog into my home for a short period or a long period or whatever, we'll work with you and try to fix it up to where, and most fosters provide the food for the dogs when they're gone. We pay for the medical care. We'll work out all that on a case-per-case basis. Some people got enough money. They say, hey, don't worry about anything. I got it taken care of. Some people need assistance with food even. We'll work with you.
That's a win-win situation for everybody. I'm thinking about people that are empty nesters. The kids, and maybe they've gone to college, maybe they got married, maybe all these things. And they're driving their spouse just nuts because they're used to taking care of something. I think this would be an awesome opportunity if you're an empty nester.
Yeah, even if you say I want to do it temporary, we understand that maybe you may not want to do it forever. Maybe you're moving or something, but for a month or 2 months, you say I can. And a lot of times, if you take a dog to foster, what happens is, and we call it foster fails, but I mean, just like this, if you hold these dogs very long, you're not going to let go of them. And
I know.
I think one of them might have pooped on me, but oh well.
The show goes on.
That's right. It's whatever. I've been blessed. But anyways, fostering dogs also involves a risk of you might want to adopt them. There comes a point where you think, man, this dog's so great. I can't let go of him. And then that actually was the perfect end because the dog made it home. And that's what our whole mission is: get them out of the shelter, get them out of harm's way, number one, give them shelter and care until we can find them a home. And then the final step is get them home and let them live their life out with all the happiness that they can find. That's kind of the 3-step plan: out of harm's way, take care of them at the shelter, and get them home. Just like these puppies, they're out of harm's way, and now they're here. And I don't think it'll take long for these to go home. I'm very.
I got a feeling. I'm wondering if you're even going to let them go anywhere. I mean, you sure are holding tight onto those dogs.
We had 4 dogs at our house. We had 5, 6, and 2 of them died last year. So we got 4. And then this old German Shepherd showed up. He's Methuselah is what he's like. I mean, he's so old. We took him up to our house so he didn't have to endure the commotion at the shelter. And he was out in the backyard, seemed happy. Well, then it rained the other night, and Wanda said, I'm going to bring him in for the rain. We can't hardly walk on our floors. He's old. He's an old dog. Well, he fit right in our. So I'm afraid we have gone from 4 to 5 because that old German Shepherd, that dog, in human years, he'd probably be 200. I mean, he is old, but he's happy and just lays on that rug in the living room. He's happy. So I'm afraid we went from 4 to 5 just because of who we are. I can't take 2 more regardless of how cute they are.
I know. Let's talk a little bit about pets in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. And I know that the more they eat, the warmer they are. But Phil is afraid I'm feeding Buddy too much. And, I said, but he's got to have the extra food for the winter. Now, Buddy will eat as long as there's food out there. I mean, he will just eat. But is there a cutoff? Am I overdoing it, Doug?
Just be, I overeat in the wintertime, and I think you do need to feed them more in the wintertime because they got to store the body fat, and most dogs regulate it. Most dogs know, but you see some dogs look like a footstool because they're continually overfed. I would feed them a little more, but I wouldn't just keep. If they really noticeable, if they look like they're having trouble walking, or you can't see their legs because their belly's hanging down to the ground, cut back on food. Dogs are just like people. Being overweight's not good for them. Not good for their joints. I'm an example. My legs hurt because I'm fat. I get it. And dogs are the same way. So just be aware of how big your dog should be, and maybe if he gains a little weight in the wintertime, that's fine. But come spring, just let it kind of regulate itself. I wouldn't worry about it. I'd rather see them overfed than underfed.
Yeah, me too.
Especially in the wintertime because they do need that extra layer of fat and all that for the winter. No doubt. Main thing in the wintertime, keep a dog house available. If they're outside dogs, make sure they have shelter. Put straw is probably one of the best things, your pine shavings or whatever. Give them something to kind of burrow down in. And, if you're not going to let them inside, now we let all our dogs inside. So I think that's the best. But a lot of people would never do that. But at least give them a place to get in out of the cold and the wet. It's supposed to rain tonight, and we're all nervous about that here at the shelter because we are an outdoor shelter. But our dogs they have their dog houses, they have their straw. So just do the best we can. I'm loving this. I just really enjoy having these little nuggets in my arms.
Now, another thing we need to be concerned with too is their water, their drinking water. And because if you're keeping them outside, the water's going to freeze, and they got to have something to drink.
Right, and you wouldn't think, but water being hydrated is just important in the winter as it is in the summer. Summer's not the only time you make sure they have fresh water, so you need to water them daily. If they're outside, their water bowls may freeze up. Their water bowls may bust. If it's a plastic water bowl and it gets ice in it, it actually could break. So do your due diligence and make sure that your dogs have fresh water every day. And because they can't drink ice. They might be able to lick on it. And especially if they're chained up or something, you got to make sure they have plenty of good water, good food, and they should be okay in a nice place to at least get in and out of the elements and burrow down in some straw or something like that. Just think about yourself. What would you need if you were out? And that's what your dog needs. You need food, water, and a nice warm place to bed down.
But even though they've got fur, they still have to be kept warm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And some dogs, a lot of breeds of dogs who don't have thick fur, a husky. We've got huskies here at the shelter, and in the wintertime, they don't even get in their doghouse. They want to lay on top of the doghouse and just in love the weather. And some breeds are like that, but then other ones don't have very long hair. They're just like they're freezing to death. So you gotta, what kind of dog do you have? Number one, but make sure just provide the basic elements, just like you would want the basic elements to have for yourself. I can't believe they're
You still have to take them for a walk. I mean, and Phil walks Buddy every day, like twice a day at least. And they still have to get out and get some exercise because, I mean, think about us. If we stay inside all the time and we never walk, it's not good for us. It's bad for our hearts. So dogs actually have some of the same health issues that we have.
They do a lot of the same health. We have seen a remarkable increase. Well, I don't know if it's an increase. We just noticed, dogs get cancer. And nobody really thinks about dogs having cancer. But I'm
hearing that more.
Very common. We get a lot of dogs with certain types of cancer and heart problems. We had one dog that was really sad. She'd been here for a while. They took her home, and when they think she had a heart attack, she got so excited. Like within a week after she went home, she overexerted herself because she had been here for a while and kind of sedentary here. And then, so they have heart problems. They have cataracts. They have cancer. And pretty much anything that we get, a dog probably can get too. And one on that same end, the difference is we have a dog at the house and something went wrong with her leg. We don't know what it was, but the vets had to remove her leg. And she recovered so quick from that. Her front right leg or front left leg, if she was looking at you, was amputated. And we didn't know how she's like a 9-year-old lab. And that day she was up and going, and now you wouldn't even know it. So, that was the reason I'm telling you that, because I was really happy. I didn't know how much it would affect her, but not much. If they took my leg, I'm going to be laying around whining for years.
Yeah, of course, I would be too. They're resilient though. And as long as they're being loved on, I mean, that's just the way they are.
I have noticed now she has eaten less. She used to eat a lot, but now she has eaten less. I think that's her natural way of thinning down a little bit to make it a little easier to get around. I really believe, because I would give her snacks, and a lot of times she just seems like she's not interested in eating as much. And I think she's naturally in tuned to getting her body where she can adapt better. And if she weighs a little bit less, then she can, it won't be as much trouble.
Easier for her to maneuver. Just like a human. They're smart. And you keep talking about some of the things they do. They have this internal thing we don't have, apparently. They know.
Have you ever heard the stories about the tsunami that hit, I think it was Indonesia or wherever it was a few years ago, how many of the animals, right before it happened, the animals were moving up, that they instinctively knew.
They just knew.
Like all the creatures in that area were just kind of moving inland and moving up before it even happened. So I think animals have instincts of how to work, just like the birds flying south. They instinctively know. Oh, there we go. We said yawn again.
They do know. We need to listen to them. And I also think they give us warnings. Like Buddy is pretty much a watchdog. I mean, a bird can fly in the yard and he knows it. I mean, he's just that way. And if somebody's coming here and maybe we don't know them, he has to size them up, if you know what I mean. He has to. I mean, he's very protective of us. You can't have an alarm system that good.
And I think they can tell character. I think they're just their instincts. They can tell the character of people. I think we have dogs here that react differently to different people because maybe they know something we don't know about the character of the person that's coming in. I've heard so many stories of people over the years that with seizures. There are people now who have dogs that kind of serve, and the dog can alert the family before a person has a seizure. I mean, the person may not show any symptoms, but these dogs are trained or instinctively know, and it seems like Chihuahuas are the one that I hear most often, that the dog will start reacting before the person has a seizure because the dog senses it, and that gives medical attention. You can get medical attention prepared and be prepared for the seizure if the dog alerts. I mean, I think there's so many things they do that we just don't pay attention to that we could probably be better off if we did.
Mhm.
One of them just burped. I wish they'd be a little more lively.
Oh, they're cute. That's the way they are. Absolutely. Now let's talk about pups because sometimes people they'll say, well, let me go ahead and check that. I think I'm going to get a puppy. And puppy can be a little active. So now you guys try to kind of gear people. You ask a few questions, find out about their lifestyle, what they like, their dislikes, that kind of thing. And you try to gear people, their personality toward the dog. Am I correct there?
That is so true. And because it's happened to we learned the hard knocks. Okay, a lady that was in her early 90s came out here insisting on having a puppy, and then this I don't know how to put this gently, but that's not a good match. Mainly because I mean she's in her 90s and the puppy's just starting its life, and this was 10 years ago, and we adopted the puppy to the lady, and it wasn't a week. The lady had to bring it back. It's because the lady's mind was beginning to go down a little bit, so she felt like she had to have a puppy. Wouldn't take it any other way. So there's certain times in your life where a puppy is a good fit. When you're a young child, a puppy might be a good fit. When you're just starting out, like you just got, there's certain times, and I try to time it math wise to where it makes the most sense. You don't want a puppy when you're 90 years old because they're too active. You're going to trip over them. They require a lot of care. They got to be house trained and all that. But on that end, if the family's on board and everybody, if the puppy can continue to life, something should happen to you. That's one of the questions we ask. If something should happen to you, what's going to happen to the puppy? Because we don't want it returned here when it's a year-old dog because the person that took it is in a nursing home or dies or whatever. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that the dog for his whole life is going to be taken care of. And we get families that commit to that. My grandmother wants a puppy or a young dog, and I'm going to take the dog. Once something happens to grandmother, then I'm going to take the dog, and it'll be just part of our family. And we can accept that. But puppies this size, the ideal age would be a kid that's 2 or 3 years old, and it could be perfect. That could be a good match. Because the puppy grows up, but about the time the kid goes off for college, the dog has kind of run its course, and most of the time, the dog's gone. It's just timing. Math is my answer to everything, and I do look at that as a thing. You get, if you want a puppy this size, you need a 3-year-old child. Somebody with a 3-year-old kid should consider adopting a dog like this. Mm-hmm. And then the kid grows up with the dog. When the kid goes to college, the dog goes to heaven. It just all works out. It's just the math part of it. That's what I like to do.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. I remember when we had a German Shepherd and we got this dog as a puppy. And I think I was probably about 9 years old when we got this dog. He died when I was 25, I think. Mm-hmm. And I'll have to see when he died. I mean, I wanted to take him with me when I married, but I couldn't do it. But mm-hmm. I wanted to. But the thing about it is when he died, it was like a family member passed. I mean, he was just, he had cancer, had all kinds of things wrong with him.
Every week at the shelter, we get a call, and a lady called yesterday, and her dog died. Yeah, Wanda wants to take the puppies away from him.
That means Wanda's going to be on the show.
Flea bath.
Wanda's going to give him a flea bath. Okay,
what's a flea bath?
They got fleas.
You got fleas? Say bye.
Bye-bye. How sweet.
Well, as much as I hate to see him go, I mean, whoops.
There went the camera.
There we go.
There you go.
Now, so, I guess when they come in, we just got them yesterday afternoon. So now they're getting a little flea bath to make sure that they're all, you didn't see her, but when Wanda got them, the mama was right here watching, make sure her puppies were taken care of.
Watching out for one. Really, Mama. Wanda's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to worry about her.
But anyways, we're talking about the age. Yeah, just math. Simple math, and you can figure out a good age to get. If you're 90 years old, you really need to get a dog that's older, that's settled in like you are, and just can kind of.
Well, if you're having mobile issues, let's say maybe you can't keep your balance or whatever, you don't need a little puppy running around that might trip you.
Oh, absolutely.
So, those are things that you have to consider.
And that does happen. It happens a whole lot. And most people's answer, if something is to bring the dog back to the shelter, or return it to the shelter, and that's a heartbreaker, because we want them to go home for the rest of their life. We don't want to, once they leave here, as much as we'd like to see them again, we'd like to visit, but not come back to live with us. And,
well, people can still keep you updated by sending you pictures and stuff that.
And we get those all the time. And we had 2 dogs we sent to Pennsylvania, and they've been here for several years. They went to Pennsylvania, Shadow and Shaggy. And the dogs are so spoiled. They updated. They made them like a hamburger birthday cake. They got a cake shape, and that's what the dogs are saying. And both of the dogs, finally, both of them died. But old age and it's a perfect existence once they left here. And that's what we want. Dollar was another one that went, Dollar actually, do what?
I remember Dollar.
Yeah. Dollar left here 30 days before she went home. It was kind of a hospital situation, went home and 30 days later died. But the last days of her life were probably the best days of her life. And on that end, the only thing standing between our dogs that are here and a good home is somebody out there that's willing to take one in. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you take a dog in because you want a good companion. We've got them, and most shelter dogs we get so many calls and updates from people that say that's the best dog I ever had. The best dog I ever had came from your shelter. We hear that daily. And that's cool. That tells you that we're fitting where we need to be in the universe. Getting those dogs to a home where they can be revered as the best dog they ever had.
I think so. Doug, we've got to go into a commercial break. Can you believe how fast time zoom? It goes really fast. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. So y'all hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com.
And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community
Good afternoon,
College.
everybody. We are back. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com, thenewscasters.com. Doug had sweetness overload just a few minutes ago. If you're just now tuning in, you need to go back and look at the first part of the show, and you'll be tickled at what you see. Cute little puppies, but you guys, it's sad. You get these a lot. People just dump those poor little babies out.
Yeah, and like I said, it happens all the time. During the month of December, okay, at the shelter, we have a capacity, and it's not good for us to go over that because we got to take care of them. We got to have enough food. We got to do all those things, keep them from fighting with each other. And 19 dogs were dropped off at the shelter during the night in the month of December. That's just 1 month. And probably for the last year, I haven't totaled it up, but probably 200 dogs that, we tell people, hey, we're full. We'll do it. We'll try to take them in. And a lot of people say it's not good. So they bring them here and drop them off. And of course, you always hear, well, at least they dropped them off at the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still not the point. The point is it's hard for us to regulate the care we get if we're always being overloaded and knocked off our feet by incoming dogs that we don't expect. But it happens all the time. And the answer to that, of course, spay and neuter, so the population will drop. And I just don't know. We talk a lot. Some people left here from Fort Payne. They just left here a little while ago, and they came up. We're talking about the situation in DeKalb County, and we stay frustrated, but we got to keep working at it and knocking it down best we can. I do think it's gotten better since we've been in business, but it's still a long way to go. Well, North Alabama, we got a lot of work to do.
We got to work on that. Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned spayed and neuter, and a lot of people say, well, I can't afford to do that. I don't know why you can't afford not to. When you consider the food you got to buy, and when you consider other things come into factor as well, you're talking about their health. They're going to be healthier animals. You're not going to be going to the veterinarian all the time, because something happens to them. I can't understand why you wouldn't. I mean, as soon as Buddy was old enough, we did. We took him to the veterinarian, got that taken care of. And he's a healthy dog. He's so healthy and he's so happy.
And we don't let dogs leave here unless they're spayed or neutered. And ultimately that should have some kind of effect. But when we had 2 pit bulls that showed up here that were pregnant, both of them. They went to a rescue in Maine, I believe it was. Before they let them go, they had their puppies. 2 dogs had a total of 23 puppies. So, and of course, that's all that situation has been taken care of. But that's 20 right there. You got 2 plus a 23. 25 families have to be willing to accept a dog for the offspring of 2 dogs. So yeah, spay and neutering it's got to be the norm for us, for this situation to ever get better. That has to be the norm. We cannot allow unregulated breeders to just keep throwing puppies out for whatever whim they've got. That's something that really is not a good situation. And on the other hand, people just need to get their dogs fixed. And constantly hear, I can't afford it. A spay and neuter, $100, and I know that's a lot of money to a lot of people, but if you can't spay or neuter your dog, call us. We will try our best to help you get the funds to get your dog fixed. We just don't have it to pay to do. We try. We do dogs for people all the time, but we'll try our best to help you get your dog fixed. It's that important because we've got to stop the population. The overpopulation is what drives everything. The killing of dogs at pounds, the too many dogs, people not enough people to adopt them. I figured up one time using math, which I love, that Marshall County, with a population of 100,000 people, should have 1 litter of puppies born every day to satisfy the needs of the people who want dogs. For the people who want dogs to have dogs, 1 litter of puppies every day, and that litter being 7 or 8. And I bet there's 20 litters every day being born in Marshall County. I mean, it's just, and if you really got down to it, small dogs, it's what 90% of the people want. So when a big dog has a litter of puppies, it even makes it more tragic because nobody will want them. And, of course, it's just, we've got to work on that. Once again, Alabama, we got a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of people who, there are a lot of people who breed dogs for a living. And I'm not so sure I trust most of them. They may say a dog is a particular pedigree, whatever. I'm not so sure sometimes. That's why I'd rather come to Second Chance Animal Shelter myself if I'm in need for a pet, for another little cuteness overload to be living in my house. And so what do you need to, if you must have a dog of a particular pedigree, what are some things you need to look out for, Doug? I mean, how do you find a good one?
Trade day, you go down to trade day and there's 2 or 3 right here, Collinsville, Mountain Borough. There's these flea markets. A dog from there, a lot of those breeders, they may be good people, but they're not. What they're doing is a lot of times they're on a whim. Like this year, I'm going to breed basset hounds because that's what people want. The next year they breed something else. Those are really, even though they may claim to be animal lovers, and they probably are, their actions really work against the welfare of animals. Because they're overpopulating, and of course the bottom line, people a lot that they're making money. It's an enterprise, so it's just a challenge. I think a true breeder, if you want to get a dog, if you just absolutely have to have a dog from pedigree, I wouldn't go to a flea market because the good ones do not. Now you're going to end up spending thousands of dollars for the dog that you want and I think that's kind of crazy, but
they'll have people coming to them if they have any kind of credibility about them at all. You won't have to go to trade day and sell them.
There are ways to check out your breeders, but we've seen them over there. The dogs end up being inbred bad because they'll make brothers and sisters and stuff. And I would recommend not buying if you need a specific breed of dog. First thing to go online and type in, say you want a Australian Shepherd, type in Australian Shepherd rescue groups, Australian Shepherd shelters, because they'll have those types of dogs, but they're ones that they collect from animal control. They're strays, or maybe they've got them from breeders that went out of business, but they only deal with certain breeds. There are breed-specific rescue groups. We've got one that takes all our English bulldogs. We get an English bulldog, we know they will take it. You can contact them, and you are going to pay a big price. It won't be as much as you pay a breeder, but you can get the dog that you want through a rescue group. So you're doing a good thing there. But breeders, most shelter people hate them. I do not. I understand what they're doing. I do think there are probably some very good, competent breeders who really are trying to perpetuate. Yeah. But a breeder who breeds more than once a year, that he's in it for the money. If he breeds that dog till she just can't hardly stand up, something's wrong. We had giant schnauzer breeder years ago, and he had 2, and she was 5 and had 1 puppy, and it died. And that was it for him. 5-year-old dog had been bred so many times that she couldn't produce. She was 5, the male was 7. We got them both. He was going to put them down if we didn't take them. These were giant schnauzers, and we adopted them like that because they're, a high dollar dog, but they were older. But you just got to be careful. I mean, and I know people look at dogs different than I do, but if you can get away from having a breed specific need, I think that's best. Come out to the shelter, walk around, and make eye contact with a dog. And regardless of what kind of dog it is, you'll know, I believe, when you look at dog in the eye and he looks at you in the eye, and you'll know that's the dog for me. To me, that's the perfect answer right there. And if it's a German Shepherd, take it. If it's a mutt that you can't tell what it is, but I think you'll be highly satisfied. If you get a dog and take that dog based on your connection versus, he's a certain type breed, I think you'll be a lot better off. Now you can.
This is what I've noticed. Most of the people who want a particular breed act like they think they themselves are from royalty. Like they're,
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, but you're not a pedigreed either. I mean,
Oh, I know. And we hear that people, the people come out here driving their highfalutin car, and they'll have that, and they want to turn in their highfalutin dog because it's not cute. They just don't. They're too busy. And that's once again, there's all kinds of people in the world, but you may really like a certain breed of dog. I know Lady likes Boston Terriers, and that's just. But I think if she would just, for once, come out to the shelter, she could find a dog just to make her just as happy. But she just is in love with Boston Terriers. That's just what she wants. But now, since she does know that about herself, find a Boston Terrier rescue group. They're out there. Just Google the Boston Terrier rescue. Get one from a shelter that's already been misplaced from its home. Don't go pay some joker breeder that probably bred them in the backyard with his sister and end up having an inbred Boston Terrier that don't have enough sense to walk in the door. I mean, I don't know.
The thing that's always been a connection. I've had every kind of dog you can think of. And it's never been like a pedigree or anything like that. If I make a connection with a dog, I'm getting it. I mean, that's just, you just have a connection. But one other thing I wanted to mention, then we can move on to something else. And this is about breeders. I would hang out with a particular breeder just to see, because there's some of them that are only in it for the money. And you can tell that the dogs know. I mean, they know, and it may develop a particular kind of a temperament that you don't want at your house.
Right.
And it all boils down to the person who actually helped bring that dog into the world.
Yeah. And their puppy mills, of course, those, and thank goodness for the most part, they're definitely moving out. I mean, there's places out west where there's like one farm. It'll be a farm, and they'll have 1,200 dogs of a certain breed, just breeding them. That's all they're doing is producing for pet stores and things like that. And the dog has no value to that person that's breeding them except for the monetary value. They don't care what happens to the dog. They'll leave them in horrible conditions. All they want is them puppies they can sell and make a buck off of. A lot of those are going away, and I'm really proud of that. Gunnersville and Albertville have passed ordinances saying that, like if a pet store opens in town, they cannot purchase dogs from an out-of-state puppy mill. That's a beginning anyway. So, I mean, there's just, take a mutt. Come on, people. Most of us are mutts too. Our backgrounds are as varied as these dogs.
I'm not a descendant of the Queen of England. I mean, I'm just not. I think it should be pretty obvious I'm not. So I'm not expecting the Queen of England's offspring dog for my house. I mean, I'm just not expecting it. I just want to have a connection with the dog.
That's it. To me, the best way to pick a dog out is come out to the animal shelter, walk around, and like I said, try to pet them, and you will find one that stands out, and you'll start thinking about them, even if you have to leave. But when you leave, you'll be going, man, it's case in point. The man from Fort Payne I was talking, he came out, just look around. He's telling us, boy, I really like that Hollywood, a dog that we have. We just have got him named Hollywood. And that dog was beautiful. And, of course, his wife would say, we've got enough dogs. Well, they left, but I guarantee you, as he's driving back to Fort Payne, he's thinking, man, I like that Hollywood. And his wife, I don't know how that's going to work, that because she's had to live in an RV and they may not have enough room. And if that's the case, make a logical decision. But if he has his way, that Hollywood will keep creeping up in his mind, and he'll keep coming back to his mind. He goes, going, honey, don't you think we could have room to have one more dog in this house? I really love that dog. I really love that dog. I mean, it's just so. And if Hollywood does make it to him, he'll live there for the rest of his life. He'll be that man's best buddy. So that's the way to pick a dog. You come out here, walk around, and let your heart lead where it leads. And when you find one, and if it may be the ugliest dog anybody's ever seen, it may have 3 legs, it may just be a mess, but if it fits your personality and you're open to it, it could be the best mess you ever take.
And ladies, let me tell you something, ladies. Let me just tell you something. Something that makes my heart full is when I see Phil out walking Buddy. It makes me feel so good. because Buddy's got him a companion. Phil walk him around, and Phil's real gentle with him, and he's real gentle with Phil too. It just does my heart good to say that every morning.
You know what makes me, you say that, and if sometimes, you'll be driving down the road and you'll see a dog stick its head out of a car window, and there's a man or woman, right, and it does make you feel good. You think that dog is happy. The dogs, the people treat them almost like they're humans. But you'll see in the bank every now and then you'll go to. I was behind the drive-through one day, and the people in front of me had a dog, and the girl at the drive-through said, "Can I give your?" And they handed a piece of bacon out to the lady to give to her dog. That's what I'm saying. That kind of stuff warms your heart. Seeing humane people and people that interact well with their dogs it's good for what we all need to see. Be happy, and people loving something more than themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think dogs are great for us. I'm glad that the university provided them, or I'm glad that we've got dogs because I think they are great.
I'm glad God let us have dogs. I really.
Me too.
And they mourn and they feel too. And I remember my grandmother who lived in Oxford. She had one dog, and his name was Butterball. And there's a reason he was called Butter. She fed him all the time. And then she had another one named Shorty. And Shorty was kind of like a Winnie dog. And then he was another breed. He wasn't, he was 2 or 3 dogs rolled into one. And he could barely walk. His stomach, it was really long in his stomach. And my granddad used to say, "Jeannie, I know you love him. I know you love Shorty, but you've got to quit feeding him so much. He's going to wind up with heart disease," like that. And then Shorty died, and then my grandmother got Butterball. And so Butterball outlived my grandmother. And that dog mourned for her. He really did. He could not be happy. And so every time a car would drive up, he'd run to the window just to see if it was her.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then I remember getting out of the car going, "Sorry to disappoint you. It's just me."
You hear that a lot. People that have 2 dogs that have been pretty much raised together from younger age, a lot of times when one dies within a couple of weeks, we had 2 that left here. Razzle and Dazzle was their name. They left here and went to Huntsville, and they were here, 2 black labs, and the man came to adopt them. And we were reluctant because the man just seemed like, I'll use the word deliverance, but a nice guy. But I'm telling you, you're talking about old backwoods, and but he took them. Because we thought they're not going anywhere at all. So, and we found out he was a really nice man. Well, he would feed them stuff that he bought them a turkey at Thanksgiving or ham or something. He bought them pizza at Christmas. The dogs were his life. And he died. The man died, and the dogs came back to us. They went to Huntsville and died like a year. And when one of them died, they were like 12 years old, and they'd been together their whole life. When one died, within 2 weeks, the other one died. I'm sure it was a grief thing. They've been together their whole life and bonded. When we get those here, bonded pairs of dogs, they've been together forever. So we don't separate them. If they come in here and we can tell they're bonded, and you can, because they're just like, this. They're always close together. We always try to get them adopted to the same home and let them live out their life. And a lot of times when one dies, it's no time at all that the other one dies. So, grief, dogs feel grief just like people do. Maybe not the extreme, I don't know, but there is a grief element to dogs, just like
there is. They have to grieve. And I wanted to say this. Now, this is like, don't discount getting a dog when their owner passed, because our cat, Greenlee, and so my really good friend passed away who owned Greenlee. And so I was at a funeral home, and his sister said, "I don't know what we're going to do with his cat." So because that cat adored him. That cat just lived for him. And so I said, "Well, I want him." I said, because me and this guy were really good friends, and I said, "I want him." So she said, "Oh, thank you." She said, "Because we've got so many cats now, we're wondering what we were going to do with him." But I'm going to tell you what, Greenlee was very skittish, and he really did miss his owner. He really did. He mourned, and it was just kind of lonely. Like so if you do get a cat or any kind of a pet like that, have patience with them. It took me a good 2 months. to get him to where he would even come towards me, and so
just like grief. They do. They miss their owner, and they're in a new world, in a new environment, a new house or
Scary.
whatever. So give them a little time, and eventually, just like people do, a older man will pass away, his wife will pass away, and then he may never remarry, but a lot of times, it'll take him a while, and he'll always remember his first wife, but they can move on. People move on, and animals can, but it takes some time. You can't just expect them to love you as much as the person that just passed away. Not at first, but then as time goes on, they'll learn to love you just as much as they did the person before them. I mean, it's grief.
They will. They will. I was wondering if it was going to happen. So a good friend of mine, I contacted her and I said, I don't know if Greenlee's ever going to, she said, you've got to be patient with him. She said, he'll come around. And guess what? Now he likes to go to bed with us. He likes to sit up on the couch and watch TV with us. He'll, and it's kind of like, and then when he wants us up, here's what he does. And you'll learn little cute things about having dogs and cats. I mean, they'll do this cute stuff. So we'll pretend we're not getting up. And this is what he does. He'll walk back and forth across the bed over us. He just walks back and forth, back and forth. And it's kind of like, and then he'll get in our face like, can you not take the ant? I mean, that too. There's nothing like owning a pet. And so you need to go to Second Chance Animal Shelter, and if you go there and you'll Doug and Wanda and all the staff out there, these animals, they are dog and cat lovers. I mean, they're animal lovers. And it's great to get an animal that has been taken care of like that. That whoever's taking care of them is loving them.
They are.
We'll expect that out of you too, though.
Yeah, and when you get them here, now keep in mind, a dog's been in the shelter for a while. You're going to get a home there in a totally new environment. I mean, here, unfortunately, they're confined to a certain area. You might get them home, and if you have a huge house, that dog, when it gets to your house, it might hide under the kitchen table and not move for 3 days. Just to let it be accepted. We had one that we got it from a hoarder, in horrible, horrible conditions in Albertville. And we took her to our house because she was just pitiful. We took her to our house. We didn't see her for I don't know how many days. She just hid out, terrified. Even now, we've had her for 6 or 7 years. Loud noises terrify her. She's still got issues, but I mean, she's a great dog. I mean, she really is. But we had to allow her time. One of the big things that happens with people, they'll adopt a dog from us, take it home, and expect it instantly to be the perfect dog, and that's just not a wise thing. You got to give it a chance. It may go home and get so excited to be home that it pees on your floor, even though realistically it's housebroke. But that excitement may be something, So just we always give the dog a chance to kind of understand its new environment. If you adopt, number one rule when you adopt from the shelter, don't expect it to be perfect when it gets home. It may be so scared of you that it don't know what to do. It may be scared of open spaces. It may be scared of cats, or maybe, so we just got to just give it some time. We had some people that adopted a dog, took it home, put it in their house, and decided to go to a restaurant. And the dog just demolished their house. They brought it back. I mean, it did like thousands of dollars worth of damage to their house in the 2 hours they were gone, because the dog, they just went home. Hey, you're home, and put it in there and left. Of course, the dog's there by itself in a closed up environment. It tore the blinds and broke, lamps. It just made a disaster. Tore some sheetrock because the dog was in complete panic mode. If they had just stayed there and kind of, even a few hours stayed there, petted a little bit, kind of get used to it, it may have been okay. But they were actually upset with us because they didn't understand why the dog went bananas. But that's just the kind of stuff happens. And it could happen. But like I say, if little precautions, when you get a dog, take it home, introduce it slowly to your dogs or pets if you already have some. Work with them, just gentle, calm, and then we might have happened in a day, but in 2 or 3 days, next thing you know, you got the love of your life and your dogs, and it's just part of your family.
Absolutely. And a good analogy of that would be like, what if someone kidnapped you and they put you out in the middle of Japan where no one knew English, and you're trying to communicate with them, and you would get frustrated. I mean, you
Oh yeah,
would.
you'd be smashing windows and everything else trying to get somebody to help you.
Yeah.
You'd be going crazy, just like the
Uh-huh.
dogs tend to do. Especially if one's been here 2 or 3 years. It's used to the girls that work here, and it's used to his routine. And all of a sudden, you take it home and say, throw it in the house. Okay, we'll be back after a while. And he's like, "What on earth?" And he's just going crazy. So, common sense is a big thing. And I'm sure the world, there's a lot of it that's missing.
Mhm.
But yeah, just think just a little bit before you act. If you get a dog, you're going to get a dog, prepare to have one. Say, don't just wake up someday and I want to, haven't even thought. You got to think about the stuff before you do it. Prepare for a dog. And if you prepare, start thinking about what kind of dog you want. If you're a couch potato, you don't want a rat terrier. I can almost assure you.
No, you
If you're a runner or jogger, you might want a rat terrier. You might not want a basset hound or an English bulldog. So you just got to use everything you do. Think just a little bit before you do it, and it should work out better.
Mhm.
But what,
Yeah, sometimes people just say, like somebody on television has this particular dog. I think that would be the status thing to do is have that kind of a dog. That's a dumb way to approach it too. Don't ever do that. Just because Paris Hilton has a particular dog doesn't mean that you've got to have that particular dog.
And when she had her Chihuahua thing going back 20 years ago, whenever that happened, they had so many breeders instantly switch to Chihuahuas because that was the hot dog at the time. After that, California, they said, had so many Chihuahuas at their shelters because the fad moved on. The fad goes to something else. Right now, the fad seems to be French bulldogs. Everybody wants French bulldogs, Frenchie this, Frenchie that. You hear people call us all the time. I want a French bulldog. Y'all got any French bulldogs? So that's what everybody says. Everybody, and they get them. The dog's cute for a while, and the fad changes, and then all of a sudden, shelters will be full of French bulldogs. That's just a cyclic thing that you see. I mean, California, I can't remember how many Chihuahuas, it just flooded their shelters because everybody had one for a while, and the fad changed. They move on. They get distracted by something else. The Chihuahua goes to the shelter.
Well, something, a pet is not a fad. I mean, it's not.
Well,
See, you're looking for a long-term relationship with your dog just like you do your spouse. I
and,
mean, it's got to be something that fits.
We understand that, but there's still, it's just people will always be that way. It's just that there are a certain amount of people that that's all they can do is think of that's just the way they think. They don't think like we do. If I take a dog in, he's part of my family. They think that dog's cute, and I want a dog to put in my pocket, so I want a Chihuahua. Then whenever it gets, it's come from a breeder who misled them. It's a big Chihuahua. They don't want it anymore. They take it to the pound.
Well, think about it this way. They don't have those kinds of thoughts. What if your spouse looks at you thinking, you changed a little bit. I think I'll go get that.
Hey, that's right.
You're not the end person you were when we first got married.
That's right.
So,
I mean, people that shallow.
Doug,
Don't
we're
stop
going to have
with the
to call it
dog.
a day. Can you believe this? An hour already gone. How can folks get in contact with you if they would like to volunteer or if they would like to be part of the foster program or whatever?
Our phone number
give to you guys. Give to you guys.
Yeah, that's really important. That's something. Hey, we got to. As much as I hate it, we got to have money to survive. But our phone number is 256-561-2411. 561-2411. You can find us on Facebook. It's Second Chance Shelter. We're the one in Boaz. There's several out there across the country. We're in Boaz, Alabama. If you're familiar with North Alabama at all, if you come east from Boaz on Highway 168, as soon as you go into DeKalb County, we're the first road on your right. We'd love for you to come visit. We'd love you to send us a letter. We'd love for you to call us. Any way you want to contact us, if you're interested in volunteering, fostering, adopting, donating, we would love to have you. If you call with a dog, you want to get rid of your dog, we still welcome your call, but be prepared that a lot of times we can't help you because we stay full. So we'll take all that we can, but there comes a time when we just can't take any more. And that's kind of where we're at right now. But if we move them out, we'll still take whatever. As soon as we move one out, we're always willing to take one in.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you so much for being on the show with us. It's always a pleasure. Tell Wanda I said hello.
I sure will. If I can catch her, I will. Thank you.